that everybody knows. And it's the first one is speed of implementation. We've got a big banner that just says speed of implementation. And the other one says do it ugly.
In this episode, we cover two critical topics. Number one, we go through what really matters and what you should be doing to build your dream business. And we go through what is it that needs to be done to actually explode your profits and the money that you get to take from your business as well. Just last week, I had the pleasure of sitting down in a mastermind with Mick where we covered what it really matters for you to build your business. What is it that you should be doing? And the playbook, the step-by-step to actually how you can explode your profits and stopping you from wasting your money. And this is exactly what we cover in this episode. Hi, I'm Chris Dufay and you're watching Breaking Success. This is the show that gives you the answers for you to build the body, the business, and the life that you love.
We got to know each other better over, was like last weekend. Which was really cool to sit down and piece all this together. And I think what we vibe so much with, number one, you actually referred your daughter into my coaching program and she's had awesome success. So Maddie was great when she started, hit the ground running, started to piece together the foundation of everything, and then kind of hit a sticking point, and then came back and was like, oh look, these things aren't working. I kind of like broke open the seal of what's actually going on. And I was like, you're just not following through with the plan. Super simple. Contact people, drive people to a phone call, sign them on as a client. And after one day had 18 new clients in the day. Do you know what I mean? And it was absolute brilliance. And she's totally over the moon. And I know there's another message I haven't even opened up, but she's got another message saying it's going even more gangbusters right now. So I'll have more information to talk about with that. But you obviously chimed in, being able to give really needed advice. And that's why I wanted to bring you on right now, Mick. So when it comes to why people are failing at business and not getting there, why is it that you think that this is happening?
Well, I think that the primary issue is that the majority of people keep searching for the silver bullet, the magic wand, the magic pill, whatever it is. How can I get the most amount of value or progress with the least amount of effort? You know, and there are things that you can do to become more efficient, more effective, and make a lot more progress with a lot less effort. But I think that constantly chasing after the shiny bauble and the quick fix causes you to put in an absolute truckload of effort for not much results. And in fact, I was just talking to one of our members about this just before we got on this call. And one of the realizations that I've had, because I've been doing performance coaching for elite athletes and business people and whatever for 25 years, and I've got to put my hand up for being one of these people who, you know, a great ad comes across Facebook and it says, learn more, and you just can't help yourself and you've got to hit the button and, oh, gee, that looks good. And you get sucked into that vortex. And the biggest blinding flash of the obvious I've had over the recent weeks, if not days, is that you've just got to find someone, one person who you really resonate with, who gets where you want to go. So for me, it's Taki, Taki Moore, because he coaches people who are in the business that I'm in.
Yes.
You know, so I'm not going to go to a generalist.
Yep.
And there's a ton of generalists out there. And to be quite frank, you know, they're just regurgitating stuff they've just read. Many of them haven't implemented it themselves. They're just going, yeah, that inspired me, so let me go and inspire other people with this regurgitated blah, blah. You know, everyone gets sucked into that. So you've got to find one person. And I've just, over the last little while, found a great deal of freedom and relief and focus by the penny dropping and going, I'm only going to listen to Taki.
Yeah.
I'm not even going to listen to Chris Dufay. I'm only going to listen.
Don't blame me on not listening to me. That's perfect.
I'm only listening to him, you know, because it's happened to me. I see it happen to our members. you know, they're making progress in our program, and then all of a sudden some ad comes through and they go, what about this?
Yeah.
And it's like, dude, you haven't put all of your effort into this program. Why are you going to split your effort and put half an effort over there and half an effort over there, so you use all of your effort and get no results?
It's so true. And especially...
Sorry, I'll get down off my soapbox.
No, it's good. Stay on top of it, please. That's where I want you. Because especially in the world of online marketing and business, we're flooded with it. You can't go on Facebook without being hit on it. It's just a constant barrage of more information and more things that we have to try and do. And I went like, the first 2 to 3 years of really trying to like, all right, this is what I'm going to do. I was constantly bouncing from one thing to the next. And as you said, do you know what I mean? You try and chase multiple rabbits. You're going to get none of them.
Yeah. But I guess you got to do that to a certain extent in the beginning to try and find who's right for you. But once you find just one person who resonates with you and is going in the right direction with you, you need to wring the living daylights out of the value of that one person or that one program instead of starting to diffuse your efforts. It's just craziness.
No, that's really good, Mick. I appreciate that. Now, maybe if you can give some fatherly wisdom to the audience that comes through this as well. And I think this is, as a father, I appreciate it from where you came from this. What was the advice that you gave your daughter when it comes to her building her business?
It was pretty straightforward. It was, hey, don't think about it, just do it. We all suffer from this, the paralysis of analysis, and we've got to figure out everything. And if I understand it, maybe I can just shortcut it a little bit. And I had a member ring me up the other day saying, how do we do this? And I said, this step, this step, this step. And he went, oh, isn't there a shorter way to do that? And I said, yes, of course there is, but you've got to pay a lot more money for that advice, tongue in cheek. And he got the joke. And it's like, dude, if I had a shorter way, I'd be giving it to you. And I know with your program, you've spent so much time and effort figuring out how to get there the best way, not necessarily the easiest way, but the effort is required, but you don't have to get into the unnecessary effort. And I think that most people waste a ton of effort by overthinking things and overcomplicating things instead of just shut up and do it. And that's kind of what I said to Madison. I says, if Chris says do this, just do it. Don't think about it. And I think I mentioned to you, the other day when we were having a coffee or whatever, in a yacht race, and I was sailing with a guy who'd done America's Cup sailing, and he was the tactician and he was my roommate as well. And he just said, dude, don't think about anything I say, just do it. Because if you think about it, you're going to kill us all. And he was right. And he was putting the boat in the most incredible positions. And I thought, we're just going to die. We're going to crash. But his voice just kept ringing in my ear. Don't think about it, just do it. And if you find someone who's got a proven step-by-step process, they've got the results, why do you need to think about it? Use your brain power for other stuff.
It's so true. The secret sauce of it all is just pulling the trigger and getting it done. And I think it's also the importance of knowing that there is a process that you have to follow. So complete transparency, and this was funny because this absolutely drove me nuts yesterday, was on a group coaching call, and a coach that's been on the program for less than 2 weeks now, starting in a whole new target market for himself, he was like, I'm not getting the traction that I want on my social media posts. And I was like, started breaking it down again. And then I was like, hang on, how long have you been trying to go after this market? 7 days. All right, 7 days. Awesome. And I was like, do you feel like it is actually conceivable that in 7 days you can have awesome success with a market that's never seen you before, do you know what I mean, from 8 days ago? And he was like, no. And I was like, awesome. Keep going with what you're doing. Like, it's going to be perfectly fine. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. This is where I wanted to bring you on, Mick, because the breath of fresh air that you give can be so needed when it comes to this. It's really simple. Who's doing something that you want to do? Do you know what I mean? What's the success clues that are being laid down there? and just start following through with it, and you'll be able to find your way so much easier. Because I know I've spent a ton load of money, a ton load of time, stress and anxiety on trying to do things that was completely pointless. And then when you keep bringing it back to the stuff that works, it's absolutely golden.
Yeah. The two things that we talk about in our program.
Yeah. Yeah. Business building.
Well, I mean, that's a classic example of not overthinking it. The program that I was learning from is called Black Belt. And I thought, what will I call ours? Well, I'm not going to waste any time coming up with any sort of weird name. Just do that.
Exactly.
And in Black Belt, in Builder's Business Black Belt, we have these two chants, if you like, that everybody knows. And it's the first one is speed of implementation. We've got a big banner that just says speed of implementation. And the other one says do it ugly. Mm-hmm. And, the first thing is speed of implementation. Just get it done, get it up, get it on, get it in. And if it works, because here's the thing, that with marketing, with procedures and systems, with people management, you name it, any part of a business, when you endeavour to improve it and integrate a system or a change, there's a massive chance that it's not going to work. Like, it's just not.
Yeah.
So there's all this failure involved. So why would you, before we pull the trigger on, let's make sure we got the right font and the right colours and, everything just looks all perfect, and let's waste another 3 or 4 weeks till we're happy with it, and then pull the trigger and get really, really disappointed. And it's so much worse when something fails that you've just put your heart and soul into, versus let's just chuck something together with baling twine and a bit of old fence wire and see if it works. And if it works, now we'll slap a coat of paint on it and put some...
Totally. You can do all the systemization, all the delegation, do you know what I mean? All the automation stuff later, once you know the stuff's actually working. I think that's so much what we see is everybody's trying to make it so perfect and so that they can step out of it, where they just need to actually follow through with the stuff and actually go, you know what, the one thing is, and this is so simple, to get a business up to $1 million and beyond, it's the what and the how. What are you selling and how are you selling it? If you don't know those two things, you're absolutely doomed. So why are you trying to do these fancy webinars, these Facebook ads, all these tricky emails, do you know what I mean? All these tiny things, as you said at the very start of this conversation, it's a complete waste of time.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
This is the swift ass kicking that I knew that I wanted to bring you on for, Mick. So this is good. Yeah. Now, this comes into the second reason why I wanted to bring you on, and that was a profit first system. So much, and I will say, especially coming from a personal trainer and a coach, I remember when I first started as a trainer, that the couple of trainers in the gym that I first started with that were uber successful, it was all cash in hand. And I soon realized that they had these wads of cash. But the problem was, anytime they wanted to go get a home, a car loan, or anything whatsoever, number one, they couldn't because, do you know what I mean? On paper, their business was pretty much non-existent completely.
Yeah.
They were just trying to avoid tax the whole time. And there was no wealth building. And this is something that I think is really important, because we can get stuck into the how do we make money, and that's fantastic. But if we're not actually building true profits and building wealth for later, it's actually kind of a waste of time as well. So I want to give you the speaker right now and explain how's a profit system work first, and how did you actually get yourself into it?
What was that last bit?
How did you get yourself into it?
Oh, well, I was doing a podcast again. Guilty of chasing a shiny bauble, because I thought, this is the go. And I put all of this effort and spent all this money buying all of this gear that's around me to do this podcast. And we were getting 8,000 downloads a week, and they're all in the United States, but my target market's in Australia. So that was a good, thing to do. Anyway, I was doing this podcast, and I would get authors on to interview. And I found this guy who authored a book called The Pumpkin Plan.
Yes.
His name's Mike McCallowitz. And I can highly recommend The Pumpkin Plan. It's just such a wicked book. He's also got another one called The Toilet Paper Entrepreneur, which is kind of a little bit about what we were talking about before, how to get things together with baling twine and a bit of old wire. So I interviewed him about that book, and then I got an email to say he was launching a new book called Profit First, and I thought I'll do the right thing and I'll read it so I'm prepared for the interview. And I'm reading this book and I'm just feeling sick, and I want to poke myself in the eye with a sharp stick, and it was the worst experience, you know. And we've moved since I did this, but in the background where I used to do this in the other place, we've changed our business since, and had a massive banner across the back the business was called Uncover Hidden Profits. Right, so I've got a 5-metre sign behind me saying Uncover Hidden Profits. I've been teaching people how to build better businesses and become more profitable. And I read this book, and it turns out I didn't even know what a bloody profit was. And I just felt sick. I felt embarrassed. I felt it was just terrible. And then there was a process in the Profit First system called the instant assessment, where you find out the real deal of your financial health. And luckily Julie was away in Sydney the day that I did it. I did it on a weekend, and I just felt physically sick when I found out the reality of our situation, you know. And that's the first point that I want to get across to everybody. You know, you've got to step out of la land when it comes to your finances. You've got to know exactly. And so one of the first things you've got to learn to do this is, what is a profit? And I can tell you what it isn't. And it's not the figure on the profit and loss sheet. That is fiction. It's a story. It's just a number that's ended up being on the sheet because they've moved stuff around to reduce your exposure to tax. What a real profit is something you can feel and touch and see. So it's a wad of cash in a shoebox, under your mattress, in a tin in the backyard, or in a bank account, which is probably the best place to put it these days. Although, no, I won't go into that story, but some people are still burying cash in the backyard. But
I'll jump in because this is really good. Yeah. Most people are thinking of profit as their expenses minus their income minus expenses equals profit.
Yes, exactly right. That's standard thinking. That was my thinking.
It's so true, because you turned my life upside down as well. Do you know what I mean? This is why we're having this conversation. So most people are thinking income minus expenses equals profit. Old thinking, what's the new thinking?
Okay, new thinking, you just move the last two around, and it is sales or income minus profit equals expenses. So this whole Profit First system is a psychological system. It doesn't affect your accounting whatsoever. It's a psychological system that changes your thinking so you will make better decisions naturally. Because everyone knows what to do. Everyone goes, yeah, you shouldn't live beyond your means. But let me tell you the 3 excuses why I currently live beyond my means. Like, you know what to do, but you don't do it. And so this system changes how you represent your financial situation to yourself, and therefore you naturally want to make decisions that are the right decisions. And the issue
I'll just jump in, Mick, because this is golden. And I feel like if somebody right now has tuned in with this and they're like, yeah, this sounds good, but I'm not going to apply it or whatever, or like, yeah, I've got this, it's all good. You don't, because money is how we perceive it and what's going on. And it is not an arbitrary, awesome, it's just going to come in, it's all good, I'm going to be able to build it. No, because you've got to be honest with yourself. And I was honest with myself. You were honest with yourself, like your story. I mean, you felt physically sick. You had the cojones to be like, what's going on right now? I did the exact same. And this is where I point my finger at the viewer right now. Do you know what I mean? Tuning in with us is in, what's your wealth situation at? What's your financial situation at? And do you think it could be better? If so, then I want you to be able to use exactly what Mick is sharing with us right now.
Yeah.
It is so important that we firstly have an actual way to conceptualize what is happening with money inside the business. Because I think that's totally right. It was when I saw it, and let's say, for example, there's going to be a lot of trainers and coaches tuning in with us. So let's look at a weight loss analogy with this. What's one of the best ways for people to lose weight? It's actually have smaller plates. Why is that? Because they're naturally going to eat less and feel like they're more satisfied from it because they're filling up their plate. If you've got a big ass plate, which I know I usually do, I normally call mine a trough because it's just, you can get so much food in there. The thing is, if somebody has a smaller plate, they're not going to be able to put so much food on there, and it's a natural way to start lowering the calories somebody's eating.
Yeah.
You know? Now, when we put this into the business analogy, we are actually looking at real time, what money do we have and are we paying ourselves first so that we know that what we can do later down the day. So keep going, Mick, you're on fire.
Yeah. So even just to clarify the paying ourselves first, you know, if you're talking about our take-home pay or whatever, that is separate to profit. So how this system should work is it's all based on bank accounts. So you need at least 5 bank accounts. And be aware that if you put this philosophy in front of your accountant, they'll probably call you an idiot. Very few accountants like this program, this process. That's too simplistic and all that. Here's the deal, folks, that I was able to bamboozle my accountant, who was a very good friend of mine. I've had him for 20 years, and I need this new computer because, and we need to lease this car because, and he'd go, well, that's fair enough. Yeah, no, I can see that. And so we'd lease cars and lease this and do that and do the other. And when I came to him after feeling sick, he just shook his head like this the whole time he was listening to me, because my behaviour over the last 20 odd years said to him, you're not going to do this. I've been trying to tell you to do this for that long, and you haven't done it. And see, that's the point. He was putting in front of me logic and profit and loss statements. Yeah. And they do not affect you emotionally. And if they do, they affect you in the wrong way, because they put you in a sense of false security, or a false sense of security. I just put my teeth back in. Yeah. Whereas the profit first system tells you exactly how it is. And so you've got this first bucket where all your money comes in, and then ideally twice a month you do a distribution to the other bank accounts. And the first thing you do, which is sort of given away in the title, you take profit first and you put that in a bank account. You then take away all of your obligations for superannuation, PAYG, tax, GST, if it's applicable for where you live. And that goes in another bank account. And none of those 2 bank accounts are allowed to be touched. In fact, you've got to build a wall around them with armed guards and angry dogs and all that sort of stuff, so you cannot get at it. So how you do that is you put it in a bank that you don't normally bank with, and those 2 bank accounts cannot be, I repeat, cannot be connected to the internet. You are not allowed to see what's in them unless you go to the bank. And because what most people do is they steal. They steal from themselves and their families and the government. They steal the tax money and they'll go, I'll just use that to pay that bill because I'll have the money back in there by the time I have to pay it. Do not do that. So what we do is put the profit and the all of the tax, super money, all that sort of stuff, and we lock it away. And if we are ever going to steal from it, what we have to do is, you know, and Mike didn't even coin this term, I did, and he now uses it, is you have to do the walk of shame, where you've got to walk around the block to the bank and you've got a lot of time to think about what you're doing because it's the wrong thing. Don't do it. And the upshot of all of this is what's left can go into your normal operating expenses account that you use now. But when you peer into that account, you're looking at the reality of the situation of what the money you can use to run your business, and the profit's already gone, and the other money that's not yours anyway has already gone. So you don't get so optimistic looking into that big bucket of money now because it's not so big. So we don't take the lease out for the car. We don't buy the new machinery. We don't do those things until we've got our act together and can afford it. And if I can do it, you know, and you hear this all the time when people talk about this stuff, if I can do it, you can do it, anyone can do it. But I totally believe that because I was the worst of the worst. I could convince my wife and my accountant and anybody on a really good story as to why I needed this car or that computer or this microphone or this camera or whatever it was. And I just put ourselves in such a bad place financially because of that. This has changed it. And within less than 6 months, it was somewhere between 3 and 6 months, we had completely eliminated debt. We had doubled our personal income, and we always had the money to pay the BAS or the tax bills and that sort of stuff. And we were putting from zero profit, we were putting 10% profit away. And it's real money. Like, you can go to this bank account, and part of what you're meant to do with the profit is spend it on yourself to reward yourself for all of the risk and effort that you've put in. You've got to do that, folks. Don't do anything sensible with your profit. You don't get to access all your profit. You get to access a certain amount of your profit every 90 days. But what you do with that needs to cause other people to say, well, that was a bit of a waste of money. You know, because they think you should do something sensible with it, like pay off your house or whatever. No. You've got to do something that will put the biggest shit-eating grin on your face that you can think of. So it creates a neuro association, an anchor in your nervous system that this is the right thing. This system works. Look at the rewards I'm getting. This is cool. I'll shut up now.
No, awesome. Really good. And I think it's like, I love the actual, you've got to reward yourself, because I feel like if you know that you can reward yourself later and you're going to do something that's really going to be like, oh, you know what, I've worked hard, I do deserve this. Again, it goes back to it's not logical, it's emotional. And we are emotional beings. We operate with emotions as well. We can all think that we're a machine and we're a robot and we can just stick with it the whole time. It never works like that. And you need to be able to have that kind of valve to let everything off and get rid of the steam as well. I think I really like this because, one, it's a simple system. It's not that hard. Do you know what I mean? You have one account where all your income comes into. You've got your other accounts, and you know percentage-wise, once it comes in, boom, 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 it's all taken care of. And then I really like it because then, as you said, you peer into that account at the end and you know what to actually run your business off. And that's really important, because when you see that true number, then you're going to go, shit, I need to do something to actually get more money into the account, and you're going to be wiser with your expenses as well. And I think that's why, say for yourself, example, your profits go right up, you're paying yourself so much more, income goes up so much more, and it's in such a short amount of time from something that's actually a really easy change. Yeah.
And I just think I better quickly address some of the objections to this that Mike Michalowicz gets, I get as well, and the classic is, yeah, that might be okay for you or other people, but I couldn't do it, because if I did that, if I took the profit first and I took the tax money, I couldn't afford the rent for this office. And the simple answer to that is, dude, that's right. You cannot afford the rent for this office. Better get out and move this business back to your garage until you can learn how to do this properly.
Yeah, 100%.
And
really,
you do have to cop a few arrows to the ego to implement this system properly, but man, is it worth it.
So good. So what about results? Give me some results of other clients of yours or just other people doing. You've talked about yourself. Sure. Give me some more.
One of the very first members that came on to our program and implemented the Profit First system, they came in, and we don't find some of this stuff out till a little bit later on, but I'm remedying that so we can find out earlier rather than later, that they were in a mountain of debt. The husband, the builder, he just never had time to see his two young girls, always on site. And the wife would look after all of the finance. Oh, the roadie in the background. What's she doing?
She had to get something in the office. She knew we were recording.
Can she do the?
This is the way.
Can she do the commando crawl?
She did a commando, and I was like, I can't hold that in.
That's hilarious.
That's the way we roll here in the Dufay household.
That's right.
Yeah, sometimes
on the floor. Yeah. So as I was saying, these guys, mountain of debt, working crazy hours, young family. The wife was always doing the money shuffle, robbing Peter to pay Paul every time the tax bill came around, all of that sort of stuff. These people are the quiet achievers. Like, they don't make fanfare about anything, but they just got the system, implemented it. And I got a message maybe, it might have been 14 months after they started this. I just wanted to throttle them. Like, why didn't you tell me this earlier? They basically said, you know, we're completely out of debt. And they were in like a mountain of debt. And they couldn't see their way over it. And in 14 months, completely out of debt, new swimming pool in the backyard, 100 large in the bank account as profit, taking their first family holiday that was all prepaid for. You don't pay for it when you get back. Yeah. You know, there's nothing better than going to the travel agent with a fish full of cash and say, well, what's up for a deal right now? Where can you send me for this much? Yeah. You know, and you just go, instead of, oh, let's go there and let's save up for it and let's, you know, pay with a credit card and pay for it when we get back. That's just nuts. So these people are having family holidays. It allowed the husband to be a couple of days in the office and only 3 days on site. You know, there's all of these business advantages that came from getting the money right. You know, yeah, so we taught them how to run their team properly and all that sort of stuff. But when you get the money right, I just find that the finances of a business and personal finances are an amplifier of every other problem. So if you've already got staff issues and you've got financial issues, the staff issues are 10 times worse than what they really are. You know, anything that's not quite right with the business will be amplified if you've got money issues. So to me, this is number one. Get it right. It's a simple system. It's not rocket science. Don't overthink it, folks. We've already spoken about that. Just follow the process, do it, and it will work.
I feel like this is really some of the secret sauce. Two of the most important things that we've covered here is really, one, things can be so simple, and it's just you actually needing to follow through with it and stop really making excuses and pointing fingers at everybody else as to why things aren't working when you're not working. And two, actually how to set up the money side in the business, because that's why you're in business at the end of the day, because you've got to earn the money so you can live the lifestyle life that you want, and then you can have a bigger impact with the other people that you want as well. Mick, this has been brilliant. This is why
it doesn't matter what the business is. I mean, the business is the business. I often say to people, like, and I work with builders, obviously, and I said, I don't really give a toss about the business. You could be selling condom vending machines for all I care. It's the business is
We're
simply
still protecting people, mate.
Yeah, but all your business is a system that delivers you both financial and time freedom. And I guess it's a good idea to pick a business that you really enjoy doing as well.
Might as well. Might
as well.
Good.
But, you know, if you're passionate about it, you're going to be successful regardless. But you still, you know, as our coach says, you still need these models to follow, because you can do all the mindset stuff in the world. If you haven't got models to follow, like the Profit First model, you've got to try and figure it out yourself, and then you start overthinking it, and that's the beginning of the end.
All right. So what is the one or two takeaways? What are the actions that you want the listener, the viewer right now to actually pull the trigger on?
First thing is with the program that you're on, your program, I think what they need to do is identify what are the most high leverage activities that you suggest that they do within the program. Stop thinking about it and just do it. Do it as often and as directed by you, and stop trying to shortcut stuff and stop trying to overthink it, those things. And as far as the Profit First is concerned, get a hold of a copy of the book. You can download the audio book. You can get it on the electronic, you know, bookie things. That's a technical term. If
it's technical.
Left it behind. Or you can get the one of those physical book things. And just implement that. Again, don't overthink it. Open up the bank accounts. And what Mike suggests is, at very worst, the most simple way to do this first is every time you get a check in, you take 1% of it. Start with 1% because it's zero now, I'll guarantee it, and start the profit with 1%. And then the next thing I'd make sure that you absolutely did is every dollar that comes in, make sure you know what your tax requirements and your superannuation, if that's applicable to you, obligations are for that dollar, and take that amount away and build a big fence around it. Because I think Mike says that, they very rarely jail people for not making enough profit, but they definitely jail them if they don't pay their taxes. So it's a really good idea to put that thing aside, and then you know what you've got left to build your business with.
Yeah, I love that.
Keep it simple.
Mate, you've absolutely nailed this. Knocked this out of the park. Where does the viewer go right now to learn more about you and what's going on with the Builders Business Black Belt?
.com. It's about that simple. buildersbusinessblackbelt.com. You can join we've got a closed Facebook group called Builders Inner Circle, where there's some very, very sharp pencils. You can ask questions, get great feedback. We share resources, all of that sort of stuff. So it's pretty important to hang around with the right people. And I think that the people that are in your group, they couldn't find a better mentor. I did have the opportunity to talk with you at length the other weekend, and it was just an absolute pleasure. And you're a constant inspiration to me. I see what you're doing, and if people are listening to this and they're on your program, they just need to bloody follow the bouncing ball and stop trying to overthink it. Otherwise, I'll find where you live and I'm going to come round.
Mick, you're so good.
You don't want that.
The swift boot goes up the backside.
Exactly.
Beautiful. Mate, thank you so much. I really appreciate this, and the kind words as well. I really do appreciate it as well. And make sure that everyone clicks on over, gets a part of the Builders Business Black Belt, because obviously if anyone is a builder, is it just builders, sparkies, plumbers?
Well, our focus is custom home builders. That's our niche, if you like. But in our group, and it is just a group that constantly inspires me with their sharing and caring and support of each other. We've got electrical businesses, we've got building design, plumbing, pool building, shed builders, but it's all around that sort of trades-based type business, but predominantly builders, yeah.
Nice. All right, sir, knock this out of the park. Thank you.
My pleasure.
Now, this is where I want to make sure that you get the most out of being here, and I want to hear from you. So if you've enjoyed this episode, click like, and make sure I can send you the new episodes each and every week. Be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell. Also, I really want to make sure that I'm giving you exactly what you need. So comment below. I want to know what you're going to take away from this episode. And the best conversations after every episode always happen in the Breaking Success Tribe. I'll pop a link below for you to join the free group so you get access to the guides, the live streams. I'm in there answering your questions personally each and every day, plus you get all the episodes as well. So thank you so much for being here and joining us. I'm really looking forward to seeing you in the next episode.